Monday on Dominica's broadcasting station between the hours of 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. on a brand new program called Streams of Consciousness, where we seek to raise the level of consciousness one conversation at a time. So, tell a friend to tell a friend that consciousness is back on the airwaves. And remember, stay positive, stay conscious, stay tuned. Yes, good evening, good evening. Welcome to another wonderful episode of Streams of Consciousness. And again, it's an absolute pleasure to be here with you on another wonderful Monday evening on Dominica's broadcasting station. Live on Facebook as well. So tell a friend to tell a friend that consciousness is now on your airwaves. Live and direct coming at you. Tonight's program is expected to be another one of information, open-mindedness, consciousness, good company, as our guest tonight will be Rimcorp, Rastafir Cooperative, as they will be giving us another update, part 2, of some of the activities to be scheduled or taking place, as well as some of the many progresses that have been dealt already. And sticking to the theme of consciousness, of course, we have our regular word of the week where we inform and educate. And we'll be having our virtual guests from Jamaica as well as physical Rastawatu, who is now making his presence felt. Good evening, brother. Greetings, King. Everything blessed. Yes, so we're going to let the instrumental run a little bit. But we're going to keep it local a little bit tonight. We're going to keep it a little bit local. We're going to big up the local artists themselves tonight. The time is now 8 p.m. sharp. Usually around this time I give you guys the overview of the program as to what to expect, word of the week, what we spoke about last week, the topic of discussion for today, as well as what to expect for the program. So before we do that, let me just put some music to play on and we're going to get straight into it tonight. This one is from Simba Orchestra, My Island Bless.
My island bless, Dominica bless.
Can't deny that, that's all facts right there. Dominica is blessed and so are its citizens,
So nice, I don't
as well as the animals.
You got
And the plants one time.
move island, breathe off at night on the beach. What a wonderful bliss. These are the things I don't want to miss. Rainy days and sunny days bless.
So, here's the breakdown of the program tonight.
The radiant colors of the.
Of course, our guest is Mr. Tyrone Allen, also known as Diwa or Tossi.
Put my mind at ease.
Or Toast, my bad. Big up yourself one time. He's the president of the Rastafari Cooperative and chief cultivator on the cannabis farm in Jamaica. We have Ras Suwato or Camille Leblanc representing the House of Nyabingi and Rastafari Cooperative. He'll be speaking on some of the activities and actions the cooperative have been making, as well as a bit of African celebration or Africa Day coming up soon. I'll give him the honors to give you more details on that.
I don't want to leave and go. The people are welcoming with sweet Caribbean drumming. Cultural expressions they are adorning. Black beaches, mountain tops, with adoring. Relaxing.
Last week we spoke on thinking tools and a brief introduction to political consciousness. This first quarter we're going to be speaking on sacred geometry. Of course, first 5 minutes of the program is just to inform and educate on the consciousness so we can help build our conscious vocabulary or spiritual vocabulary. This first quarter we'll be speaking on sacred geometry, which is basically considered an ancient science which explores and explains the energy patterns that creates and unify all things, that the precise way in which the energy of creation of life organize itself. You know, molecules or DNA, flower patterns, the shape of a shell, the just name it, the air you breathe, everything, the shape of the hair, everything vibrates at a particular frequency, the energies of life in itself, you know. So it's going to be deep, but of course simple so that a child could understand. The time is now 8:03, so I'm going to just begin off with a prayer. I'm going to enter straight into the education segment, and then for the duration of the program, I'm going to allow Ras Suwato and Toss, to carry us through the rest of the program. So merciful Father Yahweh, I thank you for another wonderful night. Of course, as we enter into this program, I ask that you allow your presence and your grace to flow through many of us who are listening and viewing. Myself, allow my words to be guided through your grace and your amazing wonderfulness, your consciousness, as you are the true source of all consciousness there is. Allow this program to be one that is impactful in a positive way to anyone and everyone who needs this at this present moment. In a wonderful name I pray. Hallelujah. Amen.
Of the green trees, the beautiful flowers that attract the bees.
Yes, so I'm going to allow Ras Suwato to introduce himself as the program begins. Good evening, brethren. Just turn on your mic. Sorry about that. Try again.
Yes, sir. Greetings, brethren, and greetings to the wonderful audience listening out there.
Yes, sir.
In Yemen and to the African family, the Rastafari family. Yeah, Rasiwatu from the House of Nyabingi, Camille Leblanc. That's not my first time here, so most people might know my voice. Well, beginning up this year, we just going to give some insights on the African Liberation Day, Africa Day vibration that for a number of years we've been observing in White Kubuli.
Right.
As Rastafari gathering, the House of Nyabingi, spearheading it.
Yes.
You know, linking up with some some people like Cultural Division, UE, or Major Arm. One of our Major Arm having us use their space for keep lectures.
Okay.
We have the All Saints African students, children. And sometimes we used to have the National Youth Council, so still calling on them to be part of the program still.
Right.
And the Dominican Reparations Community. You know, some of the people at the key sponsors with us on that track there, African Liberation. Because a couple years before it was just only Rastafari.
Okay.
You know, so people were saying there's a Rastafari vibration. But then the reason why we as Rastafaris in White Cool especially pick it up, because 44 years ago, that is May 25th, 1979, after the Dread Act was passed in 1974,
right.
That is the day that the elders like Bongowa, Kraskabinda, and a couple other brethren burst them jails because that was the time they had a strike in the. That was the time they burst out that jail out in Stock Farm there, and then they were freed from that time. They never see the jail cells again. Yeah. You know, it was like that. So that was like a liberation for us as Rastafari people on the island. So that is why the couple of years we have been flying that banner strong, without any apologies to who may be.
Yes.
Any apologies. Battling thick and thin all governments. We've passed through all governments in White Kubuli, and we're still here surviving. So this year, we in this time we find it like very welcome that even the nation can see certain parts of it and take up the struggle and try it I and I.
True. Positive. Of course, not just physically free, but mentally free first, you know. So give thanks for that, King. We're gonna see if our guests online allow them to introduce themselves. Good evening, brethren. Can you hear us? You can hear us now. Yes.
Yeah, me and you.
Positive. We can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah.
So let's give you a brief introduction to the viewers and the listeners.
All right, greetings again, Razdiwa, Tyrone Harlin, or Toast, you know,
Yes.
with the rise and boast. I think Coffee was in Dominica soon. Recently, sorry. Yeah, so representing the Rim Crop, the president of the Rim Crop Rastafari Cooperative. Tonight, basically, we just focus on the Africa Day celebrations. Maybe we can give a little highlight as to what is Africa liberation, and then basically give the plans for this year's celebration in Dominica. As you know, I'm in Jamaica still, but I still still part of the organization as the president of the cooperative, so I very much in tune with what are going on island. So I can still share it with the island also, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, positive. Usually the first segment of the program, the first 15 minutes of the program, I tend to have an educational segment where I try to, bring information of consciousness whereby children as well as the elderly could learn. You guys can feel free to chip in and ask questions or even share information if you have any. Tonight I'll be speaking about briefly sacred geometry. I'm sure you guys are aware what sacred geometry is.
Yes, sir.
So I'm just going to run some information, and if you have anything to add or any questions to ask, feel free to, to intervene. It's a conversation, not an interview, So sacred geometry is considered an ancient science, like I explained before, that explores and explains the energy patterns that create and unify all things and reveals the precise way that energy of creation organizes itself. Basically saying that the pattern in which energy creates life. Everything is life and energy, as we stated in previous episodes. The molecules of our DNA, the flower petals, the breath of life, crystals, shells, the stars, our hair, everything is created in a unique pattern of life. Some call it sacred, and that is a geometry, meaning shape, form, size, height, width, depth. Just English words to describe description of how the physical, because we are a physical world, three-dimensional, how these things are manifested in the physical. There are about 5 main shapes that creates, it's alleged that creates our universe or physical, which is the tetrahedron, which is has the element of fire. In some cultures, it's a 4-sided pyramid. The hexahedron, which is representative of earth, which is a 6-sided cube. The octahedron, which represents air, which is an 8-sided shape. All of these things you can research yourself. An icosahedron, which is water element, which is a 12-sided shape. Dodecahedron, which is ether, a spirit or heavenly realm, which is a 20-sided shape, often represented in the lotus in some of the Indian religious views. It's also related to different shapes, such as the seed of life, the tree of life. All of these things you can Google and research for yourself. For children who are listening, basically what I'm saying is that every shape you see has a particular resonance or vibration that is connected in some way, shape, or form that allows every other thing to be connected. The Creator made everything in like a puzzle. So every piece of life is like a piece of a puzzle. These pieces of puzzle of life have a particular shape. And the Creator has 5 main shapes that He uses to make the puzzle of life, which is the tetrahedron, the hexahedron, the octahedron. All of these things you can research for yourself. And ironically, there's a tree called the cannabis plant. Of course, it has its positives and negative connotations behind it, but the cannabis plant has the frequency of 1.618, which is what is known as the golden ratio. The golden ratio is the frequency by which a lot of life's creation is created by. And the cannabis plant in itself is like a physical manifestation of the golden ratio. That's why some cultures consider it a sacred herb. Some cultures as well and religious beliefs use it as a sacred sacrament so that they can take it in to be in tuned. And in our body, for those of us who want high levels of consciousness, we have our cannabinoid system, which is not only for the consumption of smoke, but also in its water form. The different elements of the plant in itself can help elevate one's consciousness. So that's the ratio of pi, and coincidentally is also the ratio of the cannabis plant, which the Rastafari Rim Corp will be more than happy to share information with you. And as we've learned in previous episodes, the frequency is synonymous with frequent, which means how often something happens. The higher the frequency means how more frequently something is done. So we measure frequency by what we call hertz. We could say hertz means the amount of time something happens per second. So if I was to clap my hands 3 times per second, I would be clapping at 3 hertz. And the duration of time per clap, 3 hertz. So I'd say 3 times per second for 4 seconds will be measured at a particular frequency. And Earth's frequency is 7.83, which is also the frequency of man. So in a nutshell, in this first 5 minutes, we see frequency and energy and how we are connected in the grand scheme, the grand puzzle of life. In the next episode, our next word will be resonance. Of course, resonance is the tendency of a system to vibrate, as we know what vibration means, how fast something moves with an increased amplitude at certain frequencies. Frequencies how often something does. So how fast something happens and how often that fastness happens per se for children as well as just regular adults. That is known as your resonant frequencies. So an example of that would be a guitar string. If you pull the guitar string, you have the bass, the lighter strings. These things are resonant frequencies. Produces a sound, and if you were to picture those sounds would have an amazing geometric shape, which we call sacred geometric shapes. So this is in a nutshell what we speak about here. Just introduction today we spoke about in a brief 5-minute second. Frequencies, sacred geometry, resonance, and we'll go deeper into that. But now, usually around this time, I'm just going to put a quick music to play, and then we're going to go into the deeper aspects of the program with the Rastafari Cooperation. We're going to let you know some of the activities that they have done, as well as the coming Liberation Day, African Day and such. So put some music to play one more time. I love that one by Simba Orchestra. I think I'm going to run it one more time. My Alan Bless, Dominican Bless. And we're going to get straight into the second segment of Streams of Consciousness right here on Dominica's Broadcasting Station.
Paradise, where life is so nice. I don't want to leave and go. My island blessed, Dominica blessed. I don't want to leave and go. This little piece of paradise, where life is so nice. I don't want to leave and go. You got to experience this island breeze of the night on the beach. What a wonderful bliss. These are the things I don't want to miss. Rainy days and sunny days blend in a tropical twist. The radiant colors of the green trees, the beautiful flowers that attract the bees, a therapy that put my mind at ease. Give me Dominica, please. My island blessed, Dominica blessed. I don't want to leave and go. This little piece of paradise, where life is so nice. I don't want to leave and go. My island blessed, Dominica blessed. I don't want to leave and go. This little piece of paradise, where life is so nice. I don't want to leave and go.
Yeah, man. Beautiful music, beautiful vibrations, of course. As you can see, the time is now 8:16. We're right on time. And we're going to go into the discussion right now. If you're now tuning in, you're speaking with Tyrone Allen, a.k.a. Diwa or Tos, president of the Tos.
Coffee.
Top it up, man. Tos.
Yeah, man.
Let's think of coffee, man. We don't rise and boast.
Yes, Tos. You know, with the rise and boast. For real. Also in physical with me right now, You know, we have Rasawatu from the Rastafari Cooperative House of Nyambingi, and we're going to be speaking on the activities and the actions of the cooperative and some of the stuff that they've been doing. So I'm going to allow Toast here to begin the program and kick us off with some of the activities, some of the stuff that we've been probably not privy to. Just give us an update as to what's going on.
Okay, well, as you say mentioned earlier, we will be discussing a little bit on the Africa liberation. As I mentioned also, I'm not on island, so my brethren Suwato will give a better breakdown as to what is taking place on island. But what I want to do now is to give a little historical background as to how the liberation day came about, right? So I will say events leading up to the liberation, they basically before the 1500s, or if you have a calendar, we're in 2023, you can go back to year 1500. Before that, basically Africa was flourishing. You could go down into the 1300 when you hear about a king Mansusa. Yes, that was one of the richest king in Africa at that time, where he went around and spreading coal and certain things. And then, so between the year 5 to, let's say, the 1500s again, basically Europe was in darkness. So you never hear about Europe at that time. So all the histories, the knowledge of the earth, everything would have come up basically from Africa and some Asia also, where places called Middle East and all those places there. So by the end of the 14th century, we all know that about Christopher Columbus, which take the voyage, was going to India and then Columbus, the Caribbean. But even before that too, Europe was in a certain dark stage again, and the Arabs were controlling the certain areas of North Africa, Turkey, and certain parts of Central, what we call the Middle East. So Europeans were more Christianized people, and they wasn't getting proper trade, and should they eat meat, they needed salt and certain other things for them to live. So it was creating a problem for them, pests and disease in Europe. So they were moving away from Europe, and they end up coming to Africa. But while passing through Africa, they realized now how Africans were living, how civilized they were, how they would have planned food and create civilization, schools, markets, everybody working and stuff like that. Right. So from that now, it come down to the late 14th century, where Columbus made the voyage to the Caribbean, and that began the slave trade. So from this now, slavery abolished right back in the 18th century. I think it's like 1834. Slavery abolished in the Caribbean and in America like 1865. But by 1887, so they had a conference they call the Berlin Conference, and they divided up Africa, and basically the European countries decided the wealth is in Africa, all the minerals in Africa, so they basically want to go down there, take over. So most of us know that too, right. Of the Congo, South Africa, all of us know about Nelson Mandela, all right? Yes. So from that, coming up into the 90s, okay, before I say that, Ethiopia was the only one of two nations. Ethiopia was one that was never been conquered or colonialized by the Europeans. So the other in 1935, Mussolini invaded Ethiopia and tried to conquer the place. However, His Majesty went in exile and ended up exposing him to the world and everything, and got allies through England and France, and then they came back and they won the victory. And then, so Mussolini didn't conquer Ethiopia in that sense. So moving up now, from that, they start to have the leaders of Africa start to meet, and when they start to create a certain Africa head. So from 1957, Ghana got independent, and then it opened a way for the other Caribbean islands, for the other African states to get their independence. So by 1963, they had one meeting and they put together what they call the Africa, the OAU. So it's Africa Organization of Unity, right?
Organization of African Unity.
Organization of African Unity, give thanks to us. And His Majesty Haile Selassie was the first chairman of that. So from on that day, they call it Africa Day or Africa Liberation Day. So from this day now on forth, we have been celebrating or keeping like memorial activities on the 25th of May or days leading up to the 25th of May.
Nice.
So yeah, just a brief history as to how we come to say Africa Liberation Day. And if you check from the 1500 to now, it is 500 years. So sometimes you will see the Rastaman and them chanting in the march, 500 years in a Babylon. Yes. That is what they're really talking about. From the time Columbus come to now. That is it. You know, and even in your Bible, people like Bible reading people, they talk about the 400 years of slavery still, you know? So, yeah.
Positive. We appreciate, the information and, the brief history lesson, so simple and yet still, so current as well. Sewatu, want to add anything to that?
Yeah, and even added to that, when it comes to, as we say, 500 years, we're chanting that some 500 years of Babylon. It comes like within that 500 year period, that is the time when His Majesty was born in 1492. That time Columbus come and try and do his thing. So he was born 1492, 1892, that's 400 years. Yeah. So that shows like the time we were in slavery. His Majesty come and burst those chains and like, do you think that the simple thing that making us understand why we here for and the reason that we connecting like with those dots? Yeah. Because it wasn't just a simple thing. They try and block, and then as the brethren say, he came for Africa with passengers. As I don't want to call it cargo man. Some of the ancestors brought them to the Caribbean.
Our people.
Yeah, our people. And then what he took from the Caribbean islands, he took goods back to Europe, and that's how the triangular trade began. But then what they didn't realize that there were Africans that traveled the seas already, oceans, and reached here already. So that's why we had all a revolution going on in the Caribbean, where sometimes they came into the islands and they seen people and they wondered where the people come from. That's why they call it West Indies, because he has that man, the Combustors, they know. He was lost. And he's a black man that brought him back to Europe. They never tell that in the history. Wow. A black man that captained the ship forward to Europe when he came to the islands. And then that's why he called the West of India, because he thought he was on India.
So, quick question.
Let me add to that. When you say they met, like Africans were basically in the Caribbean.
In the Caribbean already.
Yes.
Even I'm in Jamaica now, as you say that Jamaica have one of their national heroes is Nani.
Nani is a queen.
Nani. And the story of Nani is that they came to meet Nani. They came and meet Nani living in Jamaica already, you know? So that's why Jamaica have a thing they call the Maroons and their tongue and everything. It's just like how in Dominica we have the Kalinabo people. Yeah. And they have their territory. So it's just the same way the Maroons them have their own areas in Jamaica, you know? Places they call Akompong and certain other places. But so Africans already were traveling the whole world already. And the Caribbean wasn't nothing shy of it. So they were there also. And they came and meet some of us there. But through the slave trade, they end up coming back to the west of Africa and get slaves. And it wasn't people we just sell them. It wasn't just a thing, it was a bribe. They came with bribe, they came with guns. You see, guns was one of the number one thing for that, because at that time, even now, gun is a very powerful weapon. And at that time, to see a man could just pull a trigger and a person dead, it would have surprised a lot of people, you know. So by the Japanese making the gunpowder and they create that gun, they would have come down in those places there and they would have made certain trades. And when you think it was something good, it wasn't that good. So that is how we are here in the Caribbean and celebrating now Africa Liberation Day still, you know?
All right, positive. Yeah. Of course, I love to bring a balance to everything. there might be some people who might be viewing or listening and saying, technically, what you are saying is that the true enslavers of black people were black people themselves. If it would have to take another black person to bring the oppressor back to his homeland, and of course to agree to some of these terms and agreements, and all the white man really was a very good negotiator, and we got duped into enslaving ourselves. How do you then counteract such a statement?
The thing is, they planned it. They had a good plan.
Yes.
You see? So it wasn't just they just wake up in their bed. Because even slavery, on a sense of was insured, it had insurance. Certain countries like Germany wasn't taking slave, but it was building machineries and stuff like that. So it was a business well planned out by them to orchestrate. And then now, by coming to Africa, all I had to do was to just bribe, the leaders and them. From the bribe the leaders and them, they were able to get the human, so I would say, not, we don't want to call them cargo, our brethren and them.
Yes.
So that it was all, and it had several wars, and then they would tell you several people jump out of the ship. So it wasn't a pretty thing, and it wasn't just our people just sell out our people like that. No, they were bribed, properly bribed.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was from all the international countries all over the world. So France, Spain, there's name it, England, all of these countries.
European countries.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because
Spain started it. Yes. And then
Portugal,
they started to introduce the other European countries. Some of them didn't want it to be in it, but when they showed them the monetary value out of it, because slavery was just something for money, just to grow wealth. Because if you take up any alcohol bottle now, you will see they are saying 17 something. That means your grandparents and them as great grandparents cut down sugar cane to build up that company from them time, and we never get compensated,
And Davey, what you saying there, I can prove that because I have a great grand auntie now playing on the Shelley. She was in her age, she lived to live as give praise, for the ancestors. That is my Matilda, who know Matilda drawn out of Lapland. She lived to a centenarian. Okay. But she like the priest and them in Lapland had them carrying rum under the bush in bamboo, carrying from distance.
Wow.
On the plantation, so they can rum was illegal. So all those things, that's all they had our ancestors living, carrying rum, cane in the plantation, and them thing was real, my brother. It's like that's why we have like India, like we are the rebels. The resistance was always there. Black people never go down fight, no go sleeping. We always had the resistance. That way we had the Maroons in Dominica and the Kalnago brethren. That way Kalnago and White and Maroon in Dominica. That's our forefathers. These are the powers of our island. We have to respect each other as balance.
Yes.
Because two nations that defended our island, and we can't see one higher than the other. Just a balance. Because without them, we would not be here this day.
Yeah, I like the fact that you say that, because presently I see, even within Dominica, just keep it real, there's a level of classism.
That is why I say that.
Yeah, man. In terms of the Caribs and lighter skin, not even just Caribs, but Willie Lynch syndromes, I would say. If you are lighter skin versus darker skin, father versus son, that type of thing. And of course, I need to get a Kalinago brethren or sister on this program with me here to really bring a balance to the consciousness as well. So I'm looking forward to having a conversation with them. Kings,
the chief.
Yeah, man. The time is now 8:30 p.m. Usually around this time I put some music to play, then a 30-second meditation, and we're gonna go into a deeper aspect in terms of a social consciousness issue we could tackle here.
The vibes.
Yeah, man. So this one is from Not Kiss and Professor. Of course, wisdom and thought. I think it's fitting for this discussion tonight. So let it go one time tonight. Let's go.
Not Kiss the Dominican.
Yeah. All praises due to the Most High. Shout out to G-Rated Studios. Yeah. Peace to the gods on the earth and the kings and the queens who were martyred at birth. I go hard in this verse, my heart beats in sync with that of the earth observer. Every single word in this verse that I rap like herbs in the nerves and synaptic gaps. I'm a nerd and a verbalist, herbalist or herbalist as the world turns in the age of Aquarius. Ain't no faking this when the king's on the track and my track was the moon. Come on, crossing the waters of noon like a neck maroon nigga on some African roots. With some Wakanda troops and I beat my vibranium hieroglyphics when I speak my Kenya. I'm like Emotep's too, nigga. King, my shit's too expensive and alien. Not to mention, I'm a modern day Khufu, Shaka Zulu. Two spirits to spare none. Beware, some appear fear, but cure nothing but income. Some wisdom inside of your eardrum if one hears some. Niggas called bakeries, but fitting as breadcrumbs. What we meant to lead, meant to be free, free mentally. Remember me, kings and queens in the West Indies. Fear no man after Adam and Eve as I flow like breeze in the vividest dreams. All praises due to the Most High. Peace from Dominica all the way to the east, my G.
Of course, this is myself, also known as Professor, of course, lyrically on the basketball court.
Big up, man.
You know? Yeah, man. You know, consciousness. Yeah.
Well, as you know, we are here bigging up Africa Liberation Day, and I am bigging up all the great warriors from Africa, you know?
Yeah,
One
man.
time called Shaka Zulu, I am say Emotet, you know?
Yes.
The spirit.
Emotet is a very important man, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In the African history. Go ahead, sorry about that.
Go ahead, King. Inform us.
Yeah, well, as I said, you know, bigging up basically Africa Liberation Day, one of the things we do is to spread the history and the knowledge of Africa. And one of the things we will say, Africa is the cradle of civilization, you know?
Right.
And from the mathematics, science came out and then it spread out into the world. And then as the virgin was rapping there, he mentioned about Emotet. Emotet is one of the, what we call a genius.
Yes.
He was also a doctor then.
Yeah.
And deeper history show that Emotep's grandparents was in that already, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that is where, if I can think of what is his name, the great Greek man that came to study.
Which one are you talking about? The so-called father of medicine?
Yes. So he came to
Yeah, he came to study medicine and he's the father of it, you know. That's what
Yes, real thing.
He came to study Emotet, but now he's the father of medicine. But what they did is just take the culture
Surface,
and
man.
they destroy everything down. They try their best to destroy everything because certain places you see as desert in Africa, basically, and they showing you that
Forest, dead thick forest, my brother.
there was forests, you know, and water was flowing there and everything, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wouldn't go and build up no thing in a desert, no water to flow in there.
There were farmlands.
Civilization. There was land, but they destroyed them places there. They tried their best to bury those things there, but our ancestors, especially the Egyptians, what they did was to carve out our knowledge and our history in stones that all up to today, it is still there for us to go back and let's check it out to see if it's true or not true. You know?
One time. So we're gonna play another one, King. We appreciate love, the information, you know. This one is from Ama, featuring Atunia, Philosophy. So this one is on the rugged side, you know.
Light up, blaze up. Well, if we know with marijuana, that is green up, hands up, light up. Well, if we love the sensibilla, the one that name ganja smoking Bible, put in Rasta rebel with the righteous cause. Ready for but no Babylon wall. Ganja smoking Bible, put in Rasta rebel with the righteous cause. Man, I go mix up in your front. The one that name ganja smoking Bible, put in Rasta rebel with the righteous cause. Ready for but no Babylon wall. Ganja smoking Bible, put in Rasta rebel with the righteous cause.
Special shout out to Dominica's broadcasting station who has provided the platform for consciousness, you know. It's Dominica's frequency.
In combination with me friends, now smoke the herb and no false pretense. Read up the Bible and not check some reverence. With the righteous, cause Selassie is with defense. Always joy and love for the big they use them. Babylon, them are figure. You're the one that name ganja smoking Bible, put in Rasta rebel with the righteous cause. Ready for but no Babylon wall. Ganja smoking Bible, put in Rasta rebel with the righteous cause. Man, I go mix up in no fraud. Ganja smoking Bible, put in Rasta rebel with the righteous cause. Ready for but no Babylon wall. Ganja smoking Bible, put in Rasta rebel with the righteous cause.
Sometime we're gonna go to Ras Organic, smoke the herb.
Yeah. Whoa. Organic.
Sean, I because the man out here in the Philippine hills. Yes, right.
I smoke the roots of the cannabis. The bud so pretty, can I have a piece? It has the highest THC. I'm a doctor without PhD. Dominica from the trees. I'm driving in my car, let the smoke in the breeze. This weed is strong, yeah. It made me sneeze. This weed is strong, yeah. This
This is organic, do the magic. Sprinkle, dusty cave music. Music I go pass on the plug the amp in the socket. Pass me the mic, you make shoot another rocket. Tell the whole competition, they make it people must profit. Not so easy the but cause the organic no what less. Hustle from sunrise down till sunset. Do what I got to do, look your who them there. I took the herb in a split for a cup. 3 PM I go put in a pot. 1 ounce for me to give to the cops. Cannabis oil, I take it by the drops. I smoke the herb in a split for a cup. 3 PM I go put in a pot.
This one is Cali High Heavy Smoker, one time, local artist.
When me have me split flight, that a give me the bass vibe, that a give me the bass mind. Yeah, me alright. Well, I'm a heavy smoker, me smoke a lot of ganja. One chunk, another one burning up. Ash on me pants, ash on me flag. Give me the one with no flavor. She got too strong like dinosaur. Fly like NASA. Give me love, put me up with touch ganja. Don't get any with it now. Always have the links, out of foreign. Rich man pan my phone, them calling. Get the last shipment, now they balling. They want the same quality, they want the meeting. The cycle that we creating. Now I put business, that's what we making. Give thanks for that, body for taking. And I'm blessing. Where am I? Smoke a lot of ganja. Rastafari.
Fallen one time, Fire Bright, another legendary in the game.
My fortress, Rastafari. My strength and defense, Selassie, highly high. Fire bright, I call on Jah every day to be my guide. I call on Jah every day to be by my side. I call on Jah every day to be my guide. I call on Selassie every day. I call on him to guide me in this world out there. And the people them are moving so cold out there. Killers and murderers, them all out there. Vampires, them snares and them all out there. The children, beware out there.
Yes, of course, Dominica has a lot of talent, a lot of musical talent,
a lot of gifted ones.
You know, I try my best to squeeze in as much as possible. But of course, the program is not just a Rastafari program, but you know, Rastafari has been on the forefront in Dominica, as well as, you know, elevating consciousness,
forming and sharing knowledge.
Yeah, but this
I was saying that while the music was playing, I was thinking like you could have some conscious Kadas and conscious Booyah also, you know?
Yeah, man, that's a great idea.
Like Kadas music can spread a lot of consciousness, and Derek Rapid has already showed that he could put a lot of the consciousness in the Booyah also, you know?
That's true.
So
that's true.
You can do that too in Dominica.
Basically,
the people and them in Dominica more cleave to the Booyahs and the Kadas and the Calypso too, you know?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm just sending that out for the people, for the songwriters there, you know? Put a little more African history, more consciousness into the music, you know?
Right.
In our music ourselves, the Booyah and the Kadas and the Calypso.
True. All right, this segment here, I usually just have a 30 seconds giving the creator thanks and praise for the breath of life. So you guys can feel free to join me as I meditate a little bit. Just going to take the first 3 seconds to breathe in, next 3 seconds to breathe out, next 15 seconds to observe the breath of life. So, 1, 2, breathe in. For life, give thanks for the breath of life one time.
Say, man. Yes, yeah. So as we know, I mean, the time getting short, so we have to have to do what we have to do here.
Yes,
Because
sir.
check it there, the powers of the angel for why you say 740 was what?
The frequency of Earth.
And right now it is 847.
Yes, sir.
743, 847, that's a 9. We deal with powers and that's a power time, my brother.
Yeah, man.
The frequency of the power is not no joke thing that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so even that way, it takes a power vibration, like, the nation station giving I the opportunity to spread the knowledge to our people. And as we just delving into the Africa, the vibes, the Africa liberation, the vibes, we have planned so far on calendar 3 nights, three events that we want to highlight still. We're not forgetting our headlining Ital shop, Starline Itals, where everything, the vision started and we see it growing, and that's how I as Rastafari show that we're growing from a little shop by Shilling Force there. Move up to Harlem Plaza, then we move out again and go River Street, and look right now, we're right by Guyav there still. So that's the growth of how with the cooperative we're moving forward secretly, but we still have the power. Like we have the 3 days that I highlighted, like especially every Africa Day, every African Liberation Time, the 19th, this Friday before, normally that's falling 19th, but this day it's falling like exactly 19th with the Friday before. We encouraging people to do the Africa dress day. Don't forget that Africa dress day.
Okay, I'm not trying to sound away. I know that one you kind of lost me here, but to slow it down a little bit, it will be on the 19th.
This Friday is the 19th. Friday 19th of May.
Friday the 19th of May.
Yeah, we had the Africa dress day with it.
Africa dress day. So we are asking everybody in Dominica to dress with African wear,
Okay.
But that is a tradition, right?
It's a tradition. We're just reminding them as it is.
So it's the 19th of May.
Okay.
And as I can remember time, one of the brethren stayed on the radio station, every Friday in May should be like a day, like people can just wear different outfits in Africa, the colors.
Yes.
Just to show the thing, they showing allegiance to their mama land. Right. We coming now like the 22nd, that's the Monday the 22nd. We are Sister Nats, elder sister, long time in the struggles, one of the long running sisters in Rastafari forward and the consciousness with the ITAL. She had a topic where we dealing with.
So the quick question: Does the cooperative have a Facebook or something where we could just view the schedules, or is that something that you guys plan on doing or posting if we want to bookmark it, or maybe just have it on our phones or something, as to be more aware of the dates and times?
Yes, well, we plan to do that.
I don't think we have a page right now.
No.
Okay.
It cannot do still.
That is in the plan.
But we working
a page
and
website and stuff like that.
Okay. Well, you guys can forward me the information on my phone, and I'll be free to put it on my Facebook page as well.
Rastafari. One love.
All right.
So like Sister not going to speak on the hidden powers of Menelin. And she tell, especially talking, especially that's a program for sisters. We plan it at UAE, but we try and take it by Starline Itals, because they find she'll have more time to speak there. At UAE we have a limited time. Okay. So by Starline Itals we're going to have that on the Monday evening, and then we have Raskigan there with her supporting. Raskigan going to delve into the everyday astrology, so tell people more about this. So it comes with hidden powers of melanin and astrology, which are both African sciences.
Okay, so melanin and
astrology on that night, right?
Okay.
Now we have the All Saints African students who want to do like a fashion show. Okay. So we leave in the Tuesday open. I don't know if they want to do on that Tuesday or the Friday for the Africa Dress Day. So we have as the time comes, we'll give once the date and the venue of that event. Now the Wednesday we're moving to UE. We have one or two of our brethren in DA where we have hidden talents and hidden skills, like just bring them up forward. We have brother Craig Prosper living in Portsmouth. He's going to touch on the topic from Ganges to the Indian River. Okay. Tracking cannabis from the Nubian Empire to the Caribbean. Okay. All right.
So where the ganja itself came from the river Ganges and the whole history.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Yes. From the Indian River. No, from the river Ganges to the Indian River. Okay. the brethren just connect that kind of way, like as if they've been right down local still.
Yeah, man.
And then we have the next brethren from Loda, Alfred Rule. mystify and I in a time Black History Month when we had the brethren pull out some information and they're going to give a time on African history.
Okay.
So these two brethren are going to be at UWI on the 24th of May. We're asking everyone to come forward and then we'll see how we can actually bring it live with probably like, I don't know if we can have DBS or one station to be like probably an hour first live to just interested people and forward it then. And like, because these times like we come in real, you know, and then even the match, which is the normal thing we normally have on the 25th, we haven't planned that yet. We don't know what's happening because what happened is done festa on one time, right? And on 25th of May, Sister Shauna, the high professor, going to be right there too at the Old Mill. So we're saying like all the acts normally have an African liberation, they're going to be in Old Mill in the same way in poetry. Okay. Because there's a poetry under the stars at Old Mill on the 25th of May.
Yes, Lyrics Under the Stars with
Lyrics
Shauna,
Under the
25th of May, Dumb Festa 2023. Yeah, man. Of
and
course, I'll be there showing face and all
truly.
the other poets as well.
Yeah. So
man.
then like we're trying to liaise where we can have a little vibes linking up with her on that night still. So like for instance, if there's a match or if we plan a match and something might collaborate where we might just end up, so a couple of I and I are going to be there at the Old Mill supporting her in poetry and different and you know on the drum still.
Yes.
You know, because it's just that show now the African spirit it just open up wider still for I and I. You know?
All right, man. So just to summarize what you say in a more slower pace, there's a number of activities taking place beginning from the 24th.
The 19th,
from the 19th,
yeah.
On the 19th, the 21st,
19th,
most likely the 22nd, 23rd, and then the 25th is Africa Liberation Day.
Okay.
And he's saying that the activity on that day might be held at the Old Mill in the same, what they call it, Lyrics Under the Stars.
Yes.
Yes.
No, the 21st, the 22nd, which is the Monday. Yeah, the
22nd,
Monday.
22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th.
Yeah.
Positive.
So you know, it's like, as was reason yesterday, you know, we have been doing that long for a couple of years with a collaboration with the All Saints University, UWI, the Cooperative, the House of Nairobi paid and everything from foundation. So we're not forgetting our foundation. We are Nairobi Veterans Strength.
Yes.
Just forward it, and then you have the cultural division. Then the other time that we had the National Youth Council.
Okay.
But we're still calling them.
Let me just give a breakdown on it in a sense of before, as you mentioned earlier, that the Rastafari community see that May 25th is a significant day because of they had this strike and then the elders and them end up coming out of jail on that day, right? So from that time in 1978 to 79 there, I think 79.
No, 79 it was. May 25th.
The Rastafari community basically has uphold the Africa Day celebration. But earlier in the 90s, on the 2000, sorry, the Rastafari elders see fit that they should add other stakeholders to it. So one of the main stakeholders is the government of Dominica, which give financial contribution to have the activities going on every year. And then from that, we have the National Youth Council, we have the All Saints University, the University of West Indies, Open Campus, Dominica, we have the Reparation Committee, the Cultural Division, we had 4-H Club a couple times, yes. So what we're saying is, moving forward this year, okay, matter of fact, things after Maria, it has been a little shaky to bring back the committee together. But moving forward from this year, we will like at least by end of March, early March, the committee start to meet to at least put the Africa Day celebrations together. You understand?
Yeah,
because the government has already promised that they will sponsor that event for a week. So it's just so as to continue to just keep planning it and to spread the information to our people.
Yeah, man, that's a good initiative right there, man.
Yeah.
Yes, so Kings, it is now 8:51 according to the clock on the wall here.
Good timing.
Yes, you know, positive vibrations going on. And so just gonna give a quick recap of what we spoke about tonight. If you're now tuning in, you can always review the program at your choosing later on. We spoke on the first 15 minutes of the program. In the education segment, we spoke on sacred geometry, what it is, to break it down simpler. Life in itself is created in what you can consider to be puzzles. Every piece of the puzzle has a particular shape and a vibration or frequency at that. And those particular shapes are called the platonic solids, which are the tetrahedron, the hexahedron, the octahedron, the icosahedron or icosahedron, which are 12-sided shapes. Each shape represents an element: fire, earth, air, water, and ether. Ether being the dodecahedron. If you watch the Transformers, you see the Metatron's cube, or these type of things.
Megatron.
That's what we're trying to put into your mind. You can find them in things called seeds of life, tree of life, flower of life. Just do these researches. And the word of the next week is going to be resonance. Resonance is the tendency of a system to vibrate with increasing amplitude at a particular frequency. As you know, frequencies is how much time something happens per second. And you can measure that to say, if I clap 3 times per second, I'm clapping at free frequency of 3 hertz, and that in itself can be exemplified by the guitar string. The frequency of the guitar string can be recorded, what you call let's give it down in simpler words. It is known as the resonant frequencies. So the resonant frequency of a guitar string is how quick the guitar string vibrates. If it's thick, if it's thin, it depends on the makeup of it. So everything has a vibrational frequency. The cannabis plant, the hair on your head, everything vibrates at a particular frequency. That frequency, it resonates, and it creates this harmonic vibe that you could see or hear through music or through art. So these type of things, we spoke on that briefly. Next week we'll expound a bit more on resonance. We had a discussion with Tyrone Allen. Let's keep it as Dewa, president of Rastafir Cooperative, or TOS, according to, coffee, with a roast. And we have Rastawatu in the house here, representing Nyabingi and the Rastafari Cooperative, and they spoke on a number of initiatives that are going to be playing out forward, leading all the way to African Liberation Day. They also give a synopsis of how important the liberation of mind is, why the date in itself is significant, from our Dominican soil all the way to Africa, dispelling some of the misnomers that have been put into our textbooks and history books, which were not necessarily factual, according to living, breathing ancestors like his grandmother, who can give a first-hand account of some of the things that she did for some of the slave owners, in terms of the prohibition and alcohol and such. So you can always have a look back on our program to get more information on there. Dominica Broadcasting Station here, of course, and we're going to allow our guests here to give their closing remarks, and we're just going to run it off one more time.
Buenos.
Well, yeah, greetings again. Thanks for having us. Big up to DBS, Dominica Broadcasting Station. Thanks to your listeners. I hope we share some information that it is informative to you, and anything we say there, you could go research it also. Yeah, so give thanks again, and one love.
Indeed.
Yeah, man, bless up, and then guidance and give praise, especially to the ancestors that give I and I the strength to be here forward with the I and them, enlightening ones, and as we go forward, it's a journey still. It's a movement, it's a liberty. We're not stopping, we just keep on going, and as the brethren say, we resonate with the energies around us, around I and I, that keep us fluid. We have to be fluid as water, to break through all the bounds and chains they put onto I and I.
Yes, sir.
One love, Rastafari family, guidance and protection to all the people and ones outside there, especially listeners.
Indeed.
Rastafari.
Rest.